and Jessica Anderson from Anderson Kusher. Another fine edition of the Love Court in session. And Jessica, let's get right into this morning because this might be a first for the Love Court, because I don't think we've ever seen this topic pop up before.
No, we haven't. So, dear Jessica, approximately 1 year ago, I got out of jail after a 2-year sentence. I signed over temporary custody of my daughter to my sister-in-law, and I'm now ready to regain custody. If I'm on parole due to a charge related to my daughter, does my parole affect me getting custody? There was no physical harm done to my child. I was intoxicated while she was in my care. I've since been sober and have received the help I need to stay sober. I've been sober for over 3 years and now without being monitored. Please don't judge me for my awful mistake. So it's sad. I feel bad for her.
I feel bad for her too.
Yeah. I mean, let's not even get into the fact that, a 2-year sentence for a alcohol-related crime where no one was hurt, that seems extreme to me. But, she signed over temporary custody to her sister-in-law. I guess this all depends on whether or not her sister-in-law agrees that she should, be back in her child's life. If her sister-in-law agrees, no one's going to stop her from, having custody unless the dad is somehow involved and has a say in some way. And I don't know what their, situation is beyond that. But nothing about being on parole prevents you from having custodial rights to your child. It just depends on the circumstances and whether or not there's someone there that's going to contest you're having custody.
Is temporary custody is temporary custody something that is like a formal piece of paper that somebody has to fill out, or can you just write it on a napkin?
So that's technically, it has to be something formal for it to have legal effect. I'm not sure of what she did here. I mean, if there's a guardianship in place, like a formal guardianship, then this child's part of the court system, and, they would definitely have to go back to court to get it terminated.
Proceedings. Would there be a time limit on it?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
You say temporary, though, when she goes in, did she write on the piece of paper, when I get out, I'm going to take this away, or is it just indefinite temporary?
So, let me say that people do things like that outside of the court system, and, it has no legal consequence until somebody files an action. So if this case is not part of the family court system, then mom theoretically should be able to just go to sister-in-law and say, I revoke, your right to have custody of my daughter and I want her back. Now, sister-in-law certainly has standing to go to court and say, mom shouldn't have custody of the daughter and here's why. I mean, ultimately, the court's going to do what's in the child's best interest. So If you put it to a judge, it's totally going to be on what is best for this child.
Is that something that the judge does during sentencing? The judge? No.
So her sentencing has nothing to do with her parenting.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, if what she's saying is true, if she actually has turned things around and she's sober now and she's, on a better path and she's ready to care for her child the way that her child needs to be cared for, then I don't see why anything should hold her back from being able to have custody now.
I agree with you, Deanna. It's one of those situations where I want to give kudos to the mom for doing the heavy lifting and changing her life around. I mean, if she's been clean for 3 years, that's a hell of an accomplishment.
But that's easy to say. I want the court to check in on her, right? Anybody can say that. Anybody can make that claim.
I'm sure that, she said she was monitored for a period of time. So I believe, so they probably, as part of her parole, she probably had to get tested randomly, I would assume, to stay sober. But, I mean, the fact that she did jail time related to the alcohol charge, whatever it was, I assume it was child endangerment based on she didn't go into detail, but, being drunk in front of your child is, depending on the circumstances, can be child endangerment. So, I'm sure it's something like that, but, she's not the only person that has had drug and alcohol issues. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I would say 30% of my cases that have no prison or jail issues at all have to do with people that have substance abuse issues. So it's very, very common. And and she shouldn't feel ashamed. She's done a good job. 3 years, that's huge.
Yeah,
So she's just got to stay on the path and then take the steps necessary to get her daughter back. No one's just going to come back, hand her daughter over to her. She's going to have to, particularly if it's in the court system, she's going to have to file something and, make her case.
What if the daughter doesn't want to go? Is there any, is that not up to anybody?
Yeah,
If, the daughter's
that'll be part of the court's determination. I don't know how old this child is.
Sure.
She doesn't tell me. So if she's a small child, her wishes probably won't be that relevant. If she's a teenager, yeah, she's probably going to have a say.
Huh. Crazy. All right. Hey, Jessica, another fine edition of Love Court in the books for this week. Keep in mind, we do it every single Friday at 8:10. If you ever have questions for Jessica, we have a great portal available for you on our website at alice965.com. You answer every single question you receive.
I sure do. And if, after we do the questions on Love Court, if you have more questions you need answers to, you can always call and do a consultation with me at 775-823-0049.